Hey guys, Scott, you know he's slapping. So, Tenchu 1, original PlayStation 1. That's what's up. So, I never bought a PlayStation 1. I think my brother ended up just giving me his. And I may have even bought him Tenchu. And just somehow, like, he's not really into those games, so it all ended up back into my court. And I'm like hella into stealth. Even back then and before that, but my eyes got opened up to a whole nother level of stealth when that came out. You know, you got the Metal Gear Solid original. I never played that one, but I'll acknowledge it's an all-time great from everything I've seen. But this is like on a whole nother level, like mechanically, where like other games decades later are kind of using the same formula. The controls aren't that great. They take a lot of getting used to. But once you do, like, you can do it what you want, what you need to get done, and have a lot of fun doing it. But yeah, learning curve there. Controls aren't great. And they're not great for the second one, which is a prequel. But, so there's like limitations for the system, but they weren't back then when I was playing it. Okay, talking late 90s, early 2000s. And maybe because like the limitations of the draw distance really served this game, because they just made it like jet black, which was perfect for a ninja game, and it still is. While the maps might be small, they're still semi-complex at least, and all the maps are awesome, well designed. The enemy layouts, they're all good. The enemy AI, not terribly smart, but not stupid, you know. They'll work you over and murk your ass if you're in like a firefight with them. So stick to the shadows, you know. It's kind of like Splinter Cell in a way. If the shit hits the fan, like either like load your last save point or, you know, whatever, proceed. But I recommend, like, yeah, just sticking to the shadows. Now, this game has a lot of boss fights in it where you're gonna have to fight, but you're gonna get items which will handle them and serve them up for the most part. Some of them can be a little frustrating, but you'll get it, you know. The story is awesome. And the ending's awesome, you know. You think Ricky Maru bites the dust, but you find out later on that's not true, like in Wrath of Heaven or Return from Darkness. I would say the next game, but like I said before, it's a prequel, so. But, yeah, you can play it either as Ricky Maru or Ayami. And they're both good. One's quicker, one's stronger with their attacks, you know. I usually roll with Ricky Maru. Got your trusty grappling hook, you know. The mechanics are fair because, you know, if you're in the shadows, they can't really see you. But there's a blend there where, yeah, they can see and investigate, you know, and there'll be like a yellow exclamation point type of thing that pops up, letting them know that they see something and they're locked in, but they haven't identified you as an intruder. You know, you start out with like your grappling hook, you know, your katana that you're going to largely be doing your stealth kills with. There's no other way you can stealth kill in that game. Not even like item-wise. But the items will come in handy. And you got health potions, shuriken, where you can kill dogs and enemies at a distance if you're patient. The characters, the enemies, the NPCs, they're all dope in this. The blood, which is like, you know, kind of characterized or whatever, but like that's still satisfying. And every time like you know, you pop an enemy's head off by slashing their head off from behind, cutting their throat from behind and popping it off, that never gets old. Fountains of bright red blood splattering, never gets old. So, you know, you make your way through these levels to stop like this ultimate evil and rescue like the princess. And it's just, you know, it's a shortish game, but you don't know that because the level design is so sick. Like it's hard to just get through it, you know. A lot of it you can run through, but what game can't you really, you know, do that with to some extent? Some developers like, oh hell no, you're not running through it. But yeah, you can do that a little bit here. There's a rating system, you know, if you don't get like a Master Ninja, or is it Grandmaster? It might be Grandmaster throughout all of them. I always get that mixed up a little bit. Maybe with like Ninja Gaiden. You know, Ninja Gaiden Black, 2005. But this is a stealth-based game, and you know, you creep up behind your enemies, you time it. You know, it's trial and error, but you know, some enemies move around, some are fixed and they just kind of spin around, and some are looking at each other, so if you kill one you got to time it, you know, or you're gonna be spotted or whatever. There is a point system, so I do believe like you can get spotted and still get enough points, you know, for Grandmaster, where you get like a unique item. The stealth kill animation, you know, depends on what angle you hit your opponent from. So cool. And they, you know, expand on that greatly in the next one, and then Wrath of Heaven, Return from Darkness. And they all have their, you know, own stealth kills, which are all like visually impressive, you know. And when you get to Wrath of Heaven, oh, they're so sick and satisfying. Especially when an NPC, a guard, enemy, whatever, is like a little bit above you and you jump up, it goes into that type of kill. Or if you're above them and you come down, it's a different stealth kill. Hitting them from behind, hitting them from the front, hitting them from the sides. They're all different animations. And that's like through the whole series. Even Tenchu Z, I believe, which is another one we'll cover some other time. But yeah, I do believe you still have some animation there with the... Yeah, you do. But what a way to kick off a franchise. Because in my opinion, they just get, you know, better and better. Even the ones I haven't played, I've seen, like, yeah, you know. I can see the progression there. And like the fluidities there with the controls, it gets better and better. And I know, like, I already covered Wrath of Heaven. But like the fluidity there, like in the controls, like it gets there and all that. But this one, like once you get, like I said before, you get those controls down, and you're gonna be able to wreck shop. You got to be patient. This is stealth based, and yeah, strike from the shadows. You know, if you want to play around, hit them long range with the shuriken. But you can get them, and you can get all the bosses. You're gonna get like weapons that are borderline OP if you know how to use them, like you know, the bombs. The bombs are great on bosses. You can like spam them, or whatever the term is that replaces spam these days. So if you're new here, like you're listening and learning, if you're not new to this game, you already know what's up. And start naming ninjas that are going to be doper than Rick and Maru. Because in my opinion, like in the video game realm, Ryu Hayabusa is right there. That's a toss-up for me. Shinobi, that's another one right there. Ayame, whichever one it is. Like, I get them mixed up with the chick in Ninja Gaiden Vanilla from 2004, Ninja Gaiden Black from 2005. But she's like, you gotta take her like in Wrath of Heaven because she has poison blades. Like, eventually you get that, and it kind of like, I won't say it stun locks NPCs, but the poison interrupts their animation, which is like so cool, so satisfying. And once again, like, you're only using that really on the bosses, because when the other NPCs are insta kills, you know what I mean? You don't need poison. But Ricky Maru, you know, he's the franchise. Just a quick note before I forget. I know this isn't like Tenchu, but Tenchu 2, Birth of the Stealth Assassins, Jubei makes an appearance in, what was it, the second level with the burning castle. He's Lord Goda's like personal guard, head of guards, and he's from Neo Geo's Samurai Showdown, which is my favorite beat 'em up ever. Samurai Showdown. That's over like, you know, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. But I just thought that was awesome that they threw him in there with the eye patch and all of that, with the, you know, dual katanas. I was like, what the fuck, man? That's fucking sick. In Wrath of Heaven on PS2, I remember you could play as multiple characters in not co-op, but going up against somebody. How cool would that be if, you know, you're able to play as Jubei there? I think I'm getting his name right. But anyways, back to the original Tenchu. Not a lot more to talk about. The level design, working through those, like, I don't care if the levels are short or not, but you can have so much fun doing so much stuff, exploring and dealing with, you know, the enemies this way and that. The music is top-notch bomb from start to finish. Every single track. It's a 10 out of 10 right there. And the tracks fit the level designs perfectly. And there's like horror elements, like the game gets freaky, you know, like you're like going through hell at the end to rescue the princess, like literally. And yeah, it kind of reminds me like at the, you know, the very end of Doom 3, where you're going down and like you got like the upside down crucified disemboweled things. Like, that's what you're facing down in there. Stuff like deranged sick shit. So like it has like this horror element that God, you know, 2 didn't capture that, but 3 did that in spades, man. Full boat on that. Lay your cards down. See what you got against this. That was a game changer for me because, like, you know, third person stealth, it's in your hands, your fate, you know, and I'm making my way up from, like, you know, earlier platforms. And it was quite the leap for me, you know, from like SNES, Sega Genesis. And, you know, maybe some stuff got wedged in between there, but I fucked around with it for a minute or whatever. But eventually got my hands on the PS1. And then it wasn't too long after that before, like, I got the PS2 and then Xbox, which broadened, like, my platforming experience and, you know, made me understand, like, how different systems work differently and which one's more powerful and why or whatnot. So yeah, Tenchu 1, Stealth Assassins. Kind of hard to fuck with that one, man. A lot of people, like, you know, I've seen lists YouTubers, like prominent YouTubers, like gamer channels, where they'll do a list of Tenchu games, and that's strictly number one. I got Wrath of Heaven number one. Okay, I fail to see how you're gonna trump that. Even Tenchu Z, where you create your own ninja and customize it however you want, didn't do that. Didn't get over the hump on that one. That motherfucker was fabulous. But guess what? So was Tenchu 1. You know, comparing that to something that came out, you know, years later, like, it's not fair, but you can still appreciate for what it was. And a lot of people give it a 10 out of 10, and so do I. That's where it's at with that. Take your enemies out however you want, from the shadows, you know, underneath, from above. You know, use your grappling hook, get up higher, analyze their positions, take them out systematically. You can't drag bodies away. I will say that, like, yeah. So, but, you know, it's kind of more of a hardcore type of a stealth game, isn't it? Where you got to plan your shit out more. Did I kill that guy with nobody noticing? Good. Oh shit. And then a guard walks around the corner and fucks everything up. So you got to plan accordingly. But you're given the tools to do it. And from, you know, the tutorials, all right also. I'm not going to give it much more than all right, because even back then, tutorials were like getting old. Especially the games that came with like booklets, manuals that tell you, and then it's like you code tutorials anyways. Like, no, pick one. We're gonna be all right. We're gamers. We'll figure it out what you guys did. But yeah, Tenchu 1. Where's that going to be ranked up? It's like the game itself, like, is it top 10? I don't know. Maybe for me. But I guess, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, it's got everything going for it, you know, for a stealth game, and a lot of its mechanics, you know, combat wise, even though I don't like the combat, has kind of been used in like third person games, you know, almost like Dark Souls a little bit, where it's a little bit clunky, but once you get used to it, like, you're all good and the game is fun. But yeah, man, Tenchu, gotta love that series. Tenchu 1, PS1. That's what's up. Check you guys later, man.